Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is Mayegun Live. Today is the Yoruba traditional day, or should we call it a Yoruba tradition day? Isese day. Thank you.
I'm here tonight. Very Facebook. And yes,
thank you so much for joining me again. Read the caption of this broadcast and read beyond the caption. Read the description of the broadcast. Like it, share it.
and yes, right.
Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. The Mayegun today.
And yes, right. And yes, right.
There is a threat to arrest the NLC chairman, NLC president. Even though they are finding every kind of excuse to explain away why Tifnumbu or where Tifnumbu got 150 billion naira to buy himself a new presidential jet. But today, I'm sorry for the late start again. Sometimes it can take longer, preparation can take longer than expected. But what really matters is that your time here at this moment is going to be worth it. It's going to be, it's going to be worth it. Thank you so much for joining me. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is Mayegun Live. Today, the Nigerian Labour Congress have decided to speak out after the Tifnumbu's agents, the Dokwemu Stupid Service, invaded, or should we call it raided, the NLC headquarters in Abuja. And what were they looking for? That was during the End Bad Governance protest, Days of Rage, they were accusing the NLC of funding terrorism, subversion of national security deeds. So they are inviting Ajero for treason investigation. But the NLC believes that no, this is part of the institutionalized intimidation of the labor force. So they now call on their followers, the workers, get ready. If Ajero go to the police and gets detained, they will go on strike for him. Here, we will start from that this evening.
Was extended to the Congress President yesterday and asked to report at the police by 10 a.m. today. So we are already working with our lawyers to look for extension of time. But this does not legitimize the charges by the Nigerian police to the Congress leadership. And secondly, we resolve that in an event our Congress President was arrested or detained at any moment, we put our appellate on red alert to mobilize our membership across the country, that all workers in this country should down tool their services.
Yes, immediately.
This organization belongs to all of us.
Yes.
Therefore, we should do everything possible to safeguard the sanctity of this organization.
Yeah.
We therefore thank you very much, and you should be calm and wait for further directives by our leadership. Whatever happens, we will communicate to your leadership, and your leadership will communicate to you. So we urge you to remain calm and go back peacefully to your working place and await further directives. Thank you very much.
Why is the Robodion against the NLC? You are talking about a state capture. And when you talk about state capture, you have to have everybody on board. And if there's any reason or any group that is outside that arrangement or outside that capture, it will be faced with aggressive takeover because you will be treated as enemy of states. This has been the policy of APC. And that is why they kind of feel cool that they could get away with the same things they condemned. Let's leave NLC for now, okay? The new one from the stable of the rogues, the criminals. Yesterday, the NLC said they've made profits in the midst of all this scam scandal, right? They said they've made their profits of over 3.3 trillion naira. Remember, the cesspool of Nigeria corruption, NLC, the Nigeria oil industry. When Kolu came in and swapped those who were to be collecting the subsidy money and then continued paying it, right? There are other things that also continued because it's like the same team of rogues and thieves, right? They are still in charge, even though they've had some extra and additionals. People kind of take the cut for Tifnumbu and its group. Nigeria NNPC is meant to be the national oil company of the country. And by their law, NLC was given the power to sell Nigeria crude, oil and gas and stuffs like that. Then remit the money made from the sales to the federation account. And since it is rob Peter to pay Paul system, then they will share the money to all of the component units of their fake federalism. This was the arrangement until APC Egbekegbe came. So when they came, they opened business a racket, like a cartel. They opened full-time business on Nigeria. And I'll tell you what they did. For the first time, the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, something that seems to have been like the symbol of Nigeria producing oil and stuff like that. Sure, you get like, it should be something that should be like, oh, if everything collapses, this one not supposed to collapse. So because now what's the entire system mostly rely on, all right? But it is, it's a cesspool of corruption. So when APC Egbekebe came in, Nigeria was producing 1.8 million barrels of crude oil every day. But when APC Egbekebe came in, they attacked that source. First, they brought in the rogues that will help them orchestrate that. So it's Bokwari and his gang set themselves in the place, right? Suddenly, Nigeria started losing over 700,000 barrels of crude oil every day. As if to say now, crude oil was like a tap water that was just wasting away somewhere. No. So Nigeria started losing money in such a way that never seen before. For the first time in Nigeria history, NNPC refused to remit money. Out of 8 years of Bokwari's time, NNPC Nigeria did not remit money to Nigerian Federation account for more than 4 years. It's like half of Bokwari's time. There was no remittance to Nigerian Treasury from the NNPC. Guess what they did? They opened a floodgate where they said people are stealing the crude oil. So they will bring in the ship to Nigeria. They will load the vessels and they will sail away. People now did investigation. Who were those behind that? The guys in the NNPC. Imagine people who are supposed to safeguard the national assets. They now opened door for how to steal that, including the people they were selling them to in Switzerland, in Germany, as well as China, where they found hundreds of millions of stolen crude oil from Nigeria under Bokwari. Even when they found some of them and they decided to pay Nigeria back, Malamu got the money and swallowed it. Well, anyway, the next thing, Baba, they said they have privatized NNPC. Like, how? How could you do that? They sold NNPC. To who? How much do you collect? No kobo. They just created something. They said NNPCL or NNCPL, whatever. It is now a private company. Listen to this. Oh, before these guys, nothing like that. Oh, you are either appointed into NNPC or you secure a job in NNPC. Or you know what this guy did? They opened a shop. They said NNPC has gone private now. Since it has gone private, right? So this private company is now owned by shareholders. So these shareholders, they will now be overseeing the sale of Nigeria crude oil, the importation of Nigeria's petroleum products, diesel and stuff like that, imports of petroleum products, sure you get, into Nigeria. Now this company, people appointed by politicians, broke up the national assets without anybody even noticing or probably paying attention. Then they now opened a separate company that they now sold themselves shares. So they are now the owners, right? The little money coming back from the 1.8 million barrels that they started stealing, right? Nigeria dropped by more than 50%. At a point, Nigeria's oil production dropped to about 800,000 barrels a day. It was that bad at the time. So you know what they were doing? They started another scam, by the way, which was we needed to remove subsidy. If they didn't, why do you need to remove subsidy? The guy before you was paying about 700 billion naira a year. He wanted to remove it. They didn't allow him. So why do you want to remove it now? They said, no, Nigeria cannot afford it. Here was the scam. The entire Nigeria, they were consuming about 30 million liters of petroleum a month. That's like 360 to 370 million liters of petroleum in a year. But when APC Egbekegbe came in, that number tripled, even though more people became poorer, that many people even sold their vehicles or their generator or anything. And so many businesses also folded up that they didn't need all this, right? But they scam, because it was the NNPC that would tell you how many liters, how much they pay on subsidy. So what did they do? They tripled it. So Nigeria, under them, they said Nigeria was now importing 90 million barrels of, 90 million liters of petrol. So that gave them the leverage to now use the number and say, if the landing cost for a liter of petrol was 200 naira. So if you want to continue to buy it at 147 naira or 145 naira, that means Nigeria will pay subsidy on 90 million liters. But Nigeria started using 90 million liters, 87 million liters, more, because it was the cesspool of corruption. All that is needed is that, and the only people importing the fuel, NNPC, not them directly. They have their friends who get the license to bring in the fuel. They are the ones who collect the subsidy money. So from 800 billion naira subsidy, when Nigerians were buying a liter of petrol for 87 naira per liter, from 800 billion naira subsidy a year, under these thieves, it jumped to over 4 trillion naira a year. And guess what? The more they pay on subsidy, the more Nigerians pay for fuel. Subsidy was to kind of reduce the cost, though. You get? But like under these rogues, the more they pay, the more you pay. That is why today, people are buying a liter of petrol for over 800 naira per liter. And the criminals, they are paying, they've paid over 7.8 trillion in 1 year for subsidy. Even though they told them subsidy was gone. Now let's roll it back a bit so that you don't get your head so swelled up like, oh, don't understand again. Don't worry. Let's roll it back. In 2016, Bokwari removed subsidy. Petrol jumped from 87 naira to 147 naira. So Nigerians clapped then because they voted for change. And Bokwari was going to help them stop the corruption, the wastes. If removing subsidy is the beginning, they were ready to pay the sacrifice. Then a year after, 2017, people discovered that Bokwari paid over 1 trillion naira for subsidy, even though Nigerians have been paying more for petrol. They now came out. This Tifnumbu, Abobakus and the rest, who were doing the yeoman job for Bokwari then, doing the propaganda, brainwashing and lies then, just for the moment like this, so that they could have their own turn. Now they have their turn. They said it was not subsidy. That Bokwari was only paying for something. Hey, what was the name? Oh, they shall give it one name. Not subsidy. And under Bokwari, by the time Bokwari was going, Nigeria had paid over 30 trillion naira. 30. And I'm being generous. 30 trillion naira on subsidy. Surely the last 4 years of Bokwari, Nigeria was paying between 4.8 trillion and 5.5 trillion naira on subsidy per year. And Nigerians, they were paying more for fuel. Nobody even remembered that Bokwari removed subsidy when other sheges Shegia hit them, Gidigon. Then came in Tifnumbu. Mr. Subsidy was gone. Another fraudster. They clapped because Nigeria couldn't afford it. Some few people are those sharing the money. It is nonsense. We must save this country. We must protect this country. It was under recovery. God bless you. That was what it was called, under recovery. Under Bokuwario, they didn't call it subsidy, but under recovery. God bless that person. So Mr. Subsidy was gone. They clapped for him. And the moment he said that, everything scattered. But they couldn't convince the people that it was for their own good this time around. Yeah, it wasn't for long. Because Bokuwari was able to increase the fuel price by 100%. I mean, we can say it's 100%, 87, no, probably by 80% in 8 years. Tifnubu increased it by over 300%. Now it's actually like about 400% in 1 year. And that is where everything scattered, everything collapsed. Inflation at that time was like, boom. They now find it difficult to convince you that it is for your own good. When people now discovered that all this suffering, including the people that died, because of hunger, you know, that kind of, you know, that type of hardship that you look at people who die because of hunger. And then you are thanking God that, I thank God that the hunger never killed you. And if you say you still get hope under these rules. So, going forward, Tifnumbu and his gang, they've now come up with a new name. That they are not paying subsidy. Okay? In fact, I'll put it this way, my own word first before his, okay? In their own word, right? I mean, sorry, in their own, by their action, it shows that all of you that suffered for the last 1 year, including you, the Abobakus, and those who have died, everyone did that for nothing. Because while you were thinking that people like us are just, they have a name for me. People like myself are called agent of doom that never see anything good about Nigeria. And it is not true. That's not true. Okay? The only thing we don't see anything good in are the gang of criminals that some of you call leaders. And they are those that are being exposed every now and then. So you can't blackmail us and begin to shout and say, oh, you hate Nigeria. It's because you hate Nigeria. No. Don't mix it up, please. Your criminal leaders are criminals who belong to jail, waiting for the hangman noose. But because the contraption is, the cesspool of criminals, which we call the crime scene, criminals' den, that is why you will see these characters, this blemish, this embarrassment, right? That's why you still see them representing that contraption. That's what they make of it. So they came out and said, no. Even though Wale Idun said they've been paying $600 million every month on subsidy without any appropriation or approval. But they had to. If not, by now, a liter of petroleum in Nigeria should be somewhere around 1,700 naira. You heard me right. That's how much you should be paying for petroleum right now. The greed of the few in your petroleum sector, which Tifnumbu is the Minister of Petroleum, like Bokwari was also the Minister of Petroleum. You see, their greed, the insatiable greed of these rogues has led to the hyperinflation you are facing today, because there are those who are holding you in the jugular like that. Institutionalized criminality. That's what it is. 7.8 trillion naira paid on subsidy. They're saying importation shortages. Listen to the guy who they call the financial secretary of NLPC.
I think there is one fact that I need to make very clear, that in the last 8 or 9 years, this company, even corporation as it were, has not paid anybody a dime or 1 naira as subsidy. No one has been paid kobo by NNPC as in the name of subsidy. That means no marketer has received money from us by way of subsidy. What has been happening is that we've been importing PMS, landing at a certain price,